Hello everyone, your pal 6-Speed here, and today we are working on my 2013 Kia Sorento. You can see it in the background here. So long story short, I went and rented a U-Haul trailer last weekend and helped my wife's grandma do some cleanup around the house and just take a couple loads to the dump. But when I got underneath it, because I have a couple of bolts that hold the actual hitch receiver in place, and prevent it just kind of from bouncing around because it really resonates in this car, I noticed that the hitch receiver is really rusty. And so I live kind of about 45 minutes from Vancouver. And for anyone that knows this kind of area, for you US folks, this will be known kind of as the Pacific Northwest. We don't get a lot of harsh winters here. We also really don't use much in the way of road salt. Only when it threatens to snow, and when it snows all hell breaks loose because nobody knows what they're doing here. That's aside from the point. It shocks me how rusty this is because we don't usually get a lot of rusty cars here. So anyways, rather than replacing it, which costs about $200 US, so about $275 Canadian currently, and I paid $130 US for this one that's on there. Rather than spending that extra money to replace it, I figured that we could clean it up and repaint it, and hopefully get a few more years out of it. So I've had this car for about 7 years now. It's got 142,000 kilometers on it, and we bought it with 23, so it served us real well. It's a little thirsty on gas, but better than the 4 cylinders. Anywho's, kind of just surprises me a little bit. So rather than throw it out, we're actually going to fix this thing. And what really alarmed me is I knew it had some surface rust on it, but there's a plate that goes up underneath the driver and the passenger side, but on the driver's side especially, it was very scaly rust. So we're going to have to clean that off. We're going to strip the paint, and thanks to Project Farm for their rust converter video, I picked up some POR 15 at Kanadistan Tire this afternoon, and we're going to be using that after we strip all the old paint off. What I think may have happened is this was just powder-coated semi-gloss black without any zinc primer underneath. So eventually what will happen when it's in a relatively harsh environment, aka under a car with salt and rock spray and dust and dirt and all that crap, just eventually the paint just delaminated because there was no primer to hold it in place. So we're going to hit it with some POR 15, then we're going to hit it with some Trem Clad Gloss Black, because the POR 15 is not made to be UV stable. So we have to cover it up, but that's fine, that's not a problem. So first thing we got to do is we have to drop the trailer hitch. So hopefully it's not too bad. We're about to find out. Alright, so I got the trailer hitch out. It was a little bit of a wrestling match. Did it off camera. As you can see, this powder coat's just peeling right off. This is just surface rust, but down in here, it's awfully scaly. So we're going to clean that up. And this tube is kind of beat up and starting to show some rust blistering here. So we're going to strip it down with a stripping disc, and then we are going to hit it with some paint stripper before we start the POR 15. Time to strip. So, bought some of this Easy Strip. This is from good old Canadian Tire. So we'll see how well it works. Fortunately, the stuff that's real good, apparently you're not allowed to use that anymore. So we're going to reuse the Starbucks cup here that my wife had this weekend. And don't put this on any painted surface, for obvious reasons, so we're just going to use a cheap chip brush. That should do it. We'll take the dog for a walk, get changed, and hopefully it should be done stripping by then. It's been stripped, pressure washed, wire brushed, stripping disc, etc., etc. So the instructions on the degreaser say mix it 4 parts water, 1 part degreaser. So we have about a cup of degreaser here. We're just going to slop it on. Stuff does not smell like much of anything. All we're doing is just giving it a good cleaning. Once we're done this, we're going to thoroughly rinse this with water, and then we're going to bring it back in and start stage 2. So we're degreased, she's thoroughly rinsed with water, and now we're going to wipe all the excess water off of it, and we're going to start by treating it with the next stage, which is a rust preventative treatment. Now, in case you didn't take chemistry class, this stuff is phosphoric acid, and it reacts with iron oxides to kind of form a black substance, which actually is zinc phosphate. And the acid will etch the metal at the same time, allowing the paint to stick quite a bit better. So that's kind of the paint works really well to kind of seal everything in, but to actually neutralize the rust is where the phosphoric acid does its job. Do not get this on your skin, wear gloves. This is very, very important. Do not get it in your eye. Nothing. This stuff is real nasty. It's kind of purpley in color, actually. That might be a little much. Okay. Now we're just going to apply it. I do have a plastic bag underneath here. A couple of them. There's just off camera, just so it doesn't get down on the concrete. Be very liberal with this, especially in the rusty areas. Alright, so we got her all cleaned up. All the phosphoric acid is on. And now it is time to apply a little bit of paint. So here we go. We got our little container here. And we're going to give it a couple of light coats. So we'll give it one now, come back in a few hours, and we will apply another light coat. Stuff actually doesn't stink as bad as I was expecting it to. All right. First coat is done, and she is looking good. This stuff lays out really nice. It's self-leveling. My only gripe is that the little foamy brush is kind of a pile of crap. So we use the chip brush there. I've cleaned it out as best I could with some lacquer thinner, but I do have some spare chip brushes, as you can tell right there. She's looking pretty good though, and when I finish dinner later tonight, I will come back and give it a second coat of paint. And then it should be ready to reinstall back on the car. Alright, so the problem is, after I got back from dinner, this guy had been left just a little bit too long. So now that the paint's dried, we're going to have to hit it with some sandpaper. I'm just hitting it with some 180 grit to knock the shine off the paint, and we will continue with our second coat. I'm a little irked about it, but what do you do? So after all of that work, hit it with a quick shot of 180 grit just to knock the shine off. We're going to take our tip brush. I put a piece of parchment paper in here because apparently this thing's impossible to get the lid off if you don't have some kind of barrier between the paint can and the rim. Oh, that seemed to come off fairly easily. Just going to mix it up with the brush. There's not a lot of solids in this can, actually, of all things, but now... Alright, so right here is the finished product. I think it looks just as good as the day it left the factory. It's got a nice glossy finish on it. I'm a little annoyed I had to sand this, but what do you do? So what I might do is I might give it a quick scuff one more time and hit it with some Trem Clad or some clear coat. I'm not quite sure which, but that will be a tomorrow thing. So yeah, for right now she's done, and I think she's looking pretty good. Well, I know it's a little hard to see in this light, but as you can see that the actual hitch is back on and it looks really good. I'm really happy with the way it came out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video series. I kind of enjoyed making it. It was something a little bit out of the norm. So yeah, I hope that you know, I'm hoping to post a little bit more. I know I keep saying that. It's been really tough the last little bit. Just with being burned out and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be doing another lecture pretty soon on engine oils and kind of a bit of a masterclass with that. So that's my next hopeful plan here. But just want to say thanks for watching, thanks for all the love and support, and take it easy, everyone.